In a village where the horizon kissed the sky and traditions were as ancient as the towering baobab trees, lived a woman named Zarah. Zarah was captivating. Her eyes deep wells of knowledge, her laughter so infectious it could make even the most serious elder break into a smile. Despite her beauty and wit, she remained unmarried. Frustrated by her loneliness and longing for a husband, Zarah turned to the village oracle, an elderly woman named Layla, who could communicate with the spirits of their ancestors. Layla, in her small, dimly lit hut that smelled of dried herbs and ancient scrolls, spoke to Zarah. "Child, your fate is unique. The man who fathers your child will one day lead this village, and under his rule, our people will experience untold prosperity." Inspired and emboldened, Zarah came up with an unconventional plan. She would lay with every eligible man in the village, believing that this would not only reveal her destined husband, but also secure the best future leader for her people. As time passed, rumors began to spread like wildfire. Zarah's bold quest for a husband became the main topic of gossip, whispered around every gathering, every evening fire. Finally, Zarah became pregnant, her belly swelling as her child grew. She was radiant, a living embodiment of the prophecy. As her due date neared, tension gripped the village. Each family with an unmarried son claimed the unborn child as their own, each seeing the future chief in the growing life inside Zarah. When Zarah gave birth to a healthy baby boy, the village erupted in celebration, but the joy was fleeting. A new problem surfaced: who was the father of this child destined to lead? The village teetered on the edge of chaos. Elders convened, women whispered, and warriors sharpened their spears in anticipation. Each man wanted to prove himself as the father, and the village inched toward the brink of civil war. But Zarah remained calm and assured, cradling her son, whom she named Malik, meaning king. She trusted that the prophecy would be fulfilled, confident that her people's future was secure. A week passed, and tension in the village thickened. The Council of Elders, a respected body responsible for the village's major decisions, gathered under the oldest baobab tree. Its ancient branches seemed to sag under the weight of the impending decision. "In times of peace and turmoil, our ancestors have always guided us," said Ashar, the eldest of the council, his voice barely above a whisper, as frail as the last leaf of autumn. "We must seek their wisdom now to resolve this." At that moment, Layla the oracle stepped forward. Her eyes glowed with an almost ethereal light. "I've spoken with the ancestors," she said, her voice weaving through the crowd like a song that quieted even the insects. "They have proposed a test, one that will reveal not only Malik's father, but also the future leader of our village." A murmur rippled through the gathered elders. Such a test was unheard of in their time. "The test," Layla continued, "requires each potential father to embark on a journey to the sacred mountain. At its peak rests a stone, a moonstone, filled with the wisdom of the ancestors. The man who returns with this stone will be revealed as both Malik's father and the rightful leader of our village." Gasps filled the air. The sacred mountain was a treacherous place, filled with wild beasts, deadly terrain, and spiritual trials that tested not just the body but the soul. But there was no other way. After a long pause, Ashar spoke. "It is decided at dawn. 3 days from now, the journey will begin. May the ancestors watch over us." As the council dispersed, the village buzzed with a mix of emotions: fear, excitement, hope, all swirling together, as Zarah and her son awaited the outcome that would shape the future of their home. In a tapestry as intricate as life itself, Zarah, holding Malik close to her chest, felt an overwhelming calm. The ancestors had set the course, and now it was time for the men to prove their worth. Yet, even she couldn't predict the twists and revelations that awaited them on their journey to the sacred mountain. This journey would reveal truths that would reshape the village and its people in ways they had never imagined. 3 days later, as dawn broke, the village was cloaked in an expectant hush. The air was thick with the scent of burning sage, as incense drifted from homes, seeking the blessings of the ancestors for the travelers. 6 men stood in the village square, each representing a different family, and laying claim to Malik as their kin. Their faces were a mixture of emotions, eagerness, fear, and a simmering excitement that seemed to vibrate in the air. Zarah, cradling Malik in her arms, watched them quietly. Her gaze met theirs, silently conveying the message, "May the best man win." With the blast of a horn and the rhythmic beat of drums, the journey began. Each man carried a satchel filled with offerings, kola nuts, palm wine, and sacred amulets, to honor the spirits of the sacred mountain. The path to the mountain was fraught with challenges, both physical and mystical, rivers twisting like serpents, forests whispering forgotten secrets, and caves echoing with the voices of long-lost souls. Yet the true test awaited them at the base of the sacred mountain, where a stone altar, covered in ancient runes, stood. The runes told stories of heroes, gods, love, and betrayal. Beside the altar was a pool of water, so clear it reflected their deepest fears and desires. As the men gathered around the altar, a voice reverberated through the air, a voice so otherworldly it seemed to come from the mountain itself. "Offer what you value most, and you may proceed," it said, filling the air with a heavy, unspoken importance. One by one, the men approached the altar. Some offered gold, others precious heirlooms passed down through generations. But nothing happened. The path to the peak remained sealed, as if mocking their futile offerings. Finally, it was Kiddo's turn. Kiddo was neither the wealthiest nor the strongest, but he was known for his wisdom and humility. Instead of placing an object on the altar, Kiddo knelt and offered a prayer for the village, for Zarah, and for the unborn generations who would inherit the earth. As he finished, the altar began to glow softly, and the path to the mountain's peak opened, seemingly summoned by the sincerity of his heart. Awestruck and humbled, the other men followed Kiddo, realizing that true leadership required more than just wealth or strength, it required the wisdom of the heart. Their journey up the sacred mountain was unlike any they had ever experienced. Every step felt like a delicate dance between the earthly and the divine, where physical exertion intertwined with spiritual awakening. Though their breaths grew shorter, their senses heightened with every gust of wind and every rock beneath their feet, all seeming to carry the wisdom of their ancestors. At last, they reached the peak, where the night sky seemed so close it could be touched. The stars above twinkled, as if bearing witness to this monumental moment in the village's history. In the center of the peak lay the Moonstone, glowing softly in the moonlight, pulsing gently as if in rhythm with the heartbeat of the mountain itself. Kiddo was the first to approach the stone, his hands trembling as he touched its cool, smooth surface. Suddenly, the Moonstone glowed more brightly, sending a radiant beam of light up into the sky, which returned as a cascade of light that enveloped Kiddo. "Son of Juma," a celestial voice echoed, "you have proven your worth. This child, Malik, is yours, and you are destined to lead your people." Overwhelmed by emotion, Kiddo fell to his knees. The other men stood in silence, humbled by the revelation, their earlier envy and rivalry fading like mist under the morning sun. As they descended the mountain together, the village came into view, bathed in the golden light of a new dawn, heralding the start of a new era. As the soft glow of dawn bathed the village, the men who returned from the sacred mountain felt transformed. The journey had stripped away layers of ignorance and ego, revealing new depths of wisdom and humility within them. When they finally arrived, the entire village was gathered, tension crackling in the air as they anxiously awaited the outcome. Kiddo stepped forward, holding the glowing Moonstone high for all to see. "The ancestors have spoken," he declared. "I am the father of Malik, and it is my destiny to lead this village." A collective gasp swept through the crowd, followed by a thunderous roar of cheers and ululations. The elders nodded in approval, their faith in the wisdom of the ancestors reaffirmed. Zarah, with Malik in her arms, walked over to Kiddo, their eyes meeting in a moment of unspoken understanding. All the trials, the doubts and hardships seemed to dissolve, leaving behind only clarity. As Kiddo held his son for the first time, the village erupted in celebration. Yet Zarah knew this was only the beginning. They had avoided disaster and perhaps ushered in a new era, but the real work of raising a child destined for greatness and guiding the village toward prosperity still lay ahead. With the Moonstone as their guiding light and the wisdom of the ancestors in their hearts, they felt ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Several moons had passed since the day Cato was declared Malik's father and the village's future leader. Peace and prosperity seemed to reign, fulfilling the prophecy, or so it appeared. One evening, as Zarah was nursing Malik under the shade of the family's hut, she overheard a hushed conversation behind the ancient baobab tree that stood sentinel near her home. "You've done well, Cato, the village suspects nothing, and the prophecy appears fulfilled," came the unmistakable raspy voice of Lila, the oracle. "My conscience is heavy, Lila. We've deceived the people who trust us, and I am raising a son who is not truly mine," Cato's voice wavered with regret. "Ah, but you will be a wise and kind ruler. Isn't that what's best for the village? A benevolent lie, I call it," Lila responded, her tone chillingly calm. Zarah's heart sank. Betrayal, like a silent serpent, had slithered into her world of trust. As she looked down at Malik, innocent and unaware, a new determination took root in her mind. The villagers had been deceived, but they deserved the truth, especially when the future leader of their people was in question. Malik also had the right to know his true heritage. But how could she expose this conspiracy without plunging the village back into chaos? Zarah knew she had to tread carefully. The Moonstone, once the symbol of Cato's supposed legitimacy, now seemed to hold the key to the truth. If the Moonstone was part of the deception, perhaps its mystical power could still be harnessed to reveal Malik's true father, provided it was subjected to a ritual known only to the most enlightened sages. Under the cover of night, Zarah set out on a secret journey to consult the only person who could help her, the Hermit Sage of the Ebony Forest. The path through the forest was treacherous, fraught with hidden dangers, nocturnal predators, and the all-encompassing darkness. But Zarah was driven by a mother's fierce determination, knowing that the future of her child and her village depended on the truth. Deep within the forest, where ancient trees stretched toward the heavens, Zarah finally reached the secluded dwelling of the Hermit Sage. The sage, with a long flowing beard and eyes that held the weight of ages, awaited her arrival. The sage welcomed her warmly. "I've been expecting you, Zarah," he said, his voice calm but knowing. "The forest speaks of many things, and your struggles have reached me." Gathering her strength, Zarah told the sage everything: Malik's birth, the journey to the sacred mountain, and the secret conversation between Cato and Lila. "I need the truth, wise one," she finished. "Can the Moonstone still reveal who Malik's real father is?" The sage stroked his long beard, thinking deeply before answering. "The Moonstone is a relic of truth. Its power can be altered, but it cannot be completely corrupted. There is an old ritual, nearly forgotten, but known to me, that can cleanse the stone of any falsehoods." Hope flickered in Zarah's eyes as she listened closely. "On the night of the new moon, you must perform the ritual of truth, bathe the Moonstone in the sacred waters of Whispering Lake. If the ritual is done correctly, the stone will glow only in the hands of the true father." With newfound hope and detailed instructions from the sage, Zarah thanked him and set off for the village. Her heart pounded with a mix of excitement and fear. She slipped back home just before dawn unnoticed, with a determined look in her eyes. She knew her next step: retrieve the Moonstone from its guarded place and prepare for the ritual of truth. The stakes were high. If she succeeded, the village would finally know the truth. But if she failed, she risked her reputation and the fragile peace that held the village together. As Zarah placed Malik in his crib, she looked at her son, peacefully asleep, unaware of the storm surrounding him. The new moon was just 3 nights away, and Zarah knew everything would change depending on what the Moonstone revealed, or didn't. As the day of the new moon neared, Zarah felt time slipping away, each moment heavy with the possibility of truth or disaster. She had secretly retrieved the Moonstone from its sanctuary with the help of a sympathetic guard who believed in her quest. Now it lay hidden beneath the floor of her hut, its soft glow pulsing as if aware of the role it was about to play. At last, the night of the new moon arrived. With Malik asleep and Kiddo away at a council meeting, Zarah seized the moment. She uncovered the Moonstone and set off for Whispering Lake, a secluded place said to hold cleansing powers. In the cover of darkness, her heart racing, Zarah reached the lake and began the ritual of truth. She submerged the Moonstone in the water, chanting the old words the sage had taught her. As she finished, the stone began to glow softly, lighting up the still waters. Zarah felt a wave of energy pass through her, as if the spirits of the lake had granted their approval. With the cleansed and activated Moonstone in hand, Zarah returned to the village, every step heavy with anticipation and fear. That night, the village gathered for the Feast of Ancestors, a time of celebration. But for Zarah, it was the night that would bring either her greatest victory or deepest shame. As the villagers danced and sang, Zarah stepped forward and revealed the Moonstone. She told the crowd that it had been blessed by the spirits for a special ceremony. The people, caught up in the excitement, eagerly awaited what would happen next. "Let each man who believes himself to be Malik's father hold the Moonstone," Zarah announced with steady resolve. "The true father will make it glow." One by one, the men came forward, each gripping the stone with hope. But the Moonstone stayed dark, its light refusing to appear. At last, it was Kiddo's turn. The crowd held its breath as he took the stone. For a brief moment it flickered, but it did not fully light up. Confusion spread through the crowd, their whispers growing louder. Just as the murmurs turned to questions, a voice suddenly rang out. "Wait," a voice called out from the crowd. "The Moonstone doesn't just respond to the hands that hold it, it reacts to the eyes that meet it." It was Layla, her eyes gleaming with both fear and excitement. Zarah looked up, her gaze meeting Kiddo's before she turned her eyes to the Moonstone. At that very moment, the stone flickered wildly, and then went completely dark. Gasps filled the air. Kiddo's face turned pale, and Zarah's eyes met those of the villagers. In that instant, everyone understood, Kiddo was not the true father. Silence gripped the crowd, only to be broken by Layla's eerie laughter. "Even the best laid plans crumble before the will of the spirits," she exclaimed. The village was thrown into turmoil, disbelief, anger, and curiosity swirling around them. The elders quickly called for a council meeting, tension thick in the air. Layla was the first to speak, her voice a strange mix of regret and revelation. "We have been caught in a web of deceit. The Moonstone has spoken. Kiddo is not Malik's father, but this should not divide us. Instead, let it awaken us." Arguments erupted, accusations flying back and forth, until the chief elder, Jabari, rose to his feet. His commanding voice silenced the crowd. "Enough," he boomed. "The spirits are not pleased with our foolishness. We must seek the truth without letting this tear us apart." Turning to Zarah, he said, "You have brought this truth to light. What do you propose we do now?" Zarah spoke with determination. "I suggest another ritual, one that cannot be manipulated. Let every man in the village come forward to swear an ancestral oath by the river of truth. The river, a divine witness, will reveal the true father." The council agreed, setting the ritual for the following dawn. No one slept that night, their minds buzzing with thoughts of scandal and change. As the first rays of sunlight broke, the village gathered by the river of truth, whose waters were said to be blessed by the gods. One by one, the men took the oath, swearing their innocence or guilt. Finally, it was Kiddo's turn. He stepped forward, his eyes meeting Zarah's, and for a moment, she saw something. Was it regret? Perhaps a silent plea for forgiveness. Kiddo dipped his hand into the river, reciting the oath with a solemn expression. The water around his hand rippled, but did not change color, a sign of a truthful oath. The crowd held its breath, waiting for a divine sign. Suddenly, a cry rang out from the back of the gathering. All eyes turned to see a young man, Rael, trembling as the water around his submerged hand turned a brilliant gold, the unmistakable sign of truth, recognized by the gods. "Rael, son of Muna," Elder Jabari declared, "you are the true father of Malik, as revealed by the river of truth." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Rael, a quiet and reclusive man, was not someone they would have expected. Known for keeping to himself and rarely participating in village affairs, Rael hesitantly stepped forward. Zarah's eyes met his, and in that brief moment, she saw honesty and sincerity, qualities she had longed for, but had not found until now. The revelation of Rael as Malik's true father shook the village to its core. The crowd murmured in shock as Rael approached Zarah and Malik, his eyes full of humility and quiet strength. Elder Jabari stepped forward once more, his presence silencing the gathering. The river of truth has spoken. Rael is the true father, and we must honor this divine verdict. He glanced sharply at Cato and Lila. As for those who led us astray, they will answer to the council of elders for their actions. Rael stood by Zarah and Malik, and in that moment, Zarah felt a new chapter beginning, one built on truth, respect, and love. These were things that had been missing from her life until now, but she was ready to face the future with renewed hope. As the true father, I will do my best to honor this responsibility, Rael declared, his voice filled with sincerity. The villagers slowly dispersed, their minds swirling with a mix of relief, curiosity, and lingering doubt. The air was charged with energy, and everyone knew that life in the village would never be the same. That evening, the Council of Elders held an emergency meeting to decide the fate of Keto and Layla. The room was heavy with tension, as the elders debated the consequences of their actions. Finally, a decision was reached. Keto was stripped of his title and status, and sentenced to perform public service as a way to atone for his deceit. Layla was removed from her role as the oracle, with a new seer to be chosen through divine consultation. Both Keto and Layla were ordered to publicly apologize to the village for their actions. The next day, Keto and Layla faced the villagers, their expressions clouded with shame. While their apologies were sincere, there was also a sense of tragedy surrounding them, a reminder that even well-meaning actions can lead to terrible consequences when they stray from the path of truth. Meanwhile, the prophecy that Malik was born to lead seemed to be coming true. The village began to thrive in ways no one had expected. Crops flourished, conflicts between neighbors decreased, and a strong sense of unity took root. Even Keto, humbled by his public disgrace, found a way to redeem himself through sincere efforts to make amends. Layla, though no longer the oracle, lived a quiet life of reflection, free from the manipulation that once tainted her wisdom. And so, in a village that had been shaken to its core, a new dawn rose, one brighter, wiser, and full of hope. Challenges would no doubt come, but the community had been strengthened by the irreplaceable values of truth and unity, which made all the difference. Zarah, Rael, and Malik stood at the threshold of a new chapter in their lives, their hearts filled with the enduring wisdom that once the truth is revealed, it has the power to heal. The journey to uncover it may be difficult, but it is always worth it, for truth ultimately sets us free. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more exciting stories like this one.